Healthcare workers in Lubbock say the need for mental health resources continues to rise, and the numbers may surprise you on this Mental Health Awareness Month.
The Lubbock Police Department tells our KCBD Investigates team that since January of last year, they have responded to nearly 2,800 calls regarding a suicidal subject. That averages out to about 6 calls a day. But those aren't the only mental health crisis calls that officers respond to, and not everyone they encounter wants help.
Investigative reporter Shaley Kidwell has a story in tonight's Mental Health Crisis Report.
911, what is your emergency?
911 is often the first number people call when someone is experiencing a mental health crisis.
912, clear.
Ethan Noble is on the Lubbock Police Department's crisis intervention team and tries to respond to as many of those calls as he can.
EMS is out with a subject who appears to be in crisis, and that's really all we know right now.
Noble allowed us to ride along with him to the call where we found 3 police vehicles and an ambulance on scene.
Looks like he may be in the ambulance.
Noble climbed into the ambulance and spoke with the man for a while before he returned to his vehicle.
Volunteers, hey, I want to go to the hospital. That's fantastic. One of our guiding principles is always the least restricted means of care.
And while the conversation seemed promising at first, Noble says another officer on scene told him the man had a history of leaving the hospital against medical advice.
So luckily I had that information, so I was able to ask this person, what will happen if you're not okay this time? What happens if you get frustrated again? And this person essentially was like, well, I'll probably go kill myself. He's expressing suicidal ideation with a plan.
Peace officers can use a warrantless emergency detention to have someone evaluated if they believe the person has a mental illness and poses a substantial and imminent risk of serious harm to themselves or others unless they are restrained.
Even though he was saying he wants to go to get help, we have grounds for an emergency detention. So I will be following EMS to Sunrise Canyon reference NED.
When a person is taken to a mental health facility on an emergency detention, the clock starts ticking. A doctor must examine them as soon as possible within 12 hours of the person's arrival. And the person may not be detained for more than 48 hours unless a judge, like Lubbock County Judge Curtis Parrish, signs an order of protective custody.
We do have the mechanisms in place to hold them in treatment for up to 90 days. Or even longer.
Parrish says calling 911 provides the most immediate response to someone in crisis, but there is an alternative to a peace officer's warrantless emergency detention. Someone
in the community, let's say the parent of somebody who's going through a mental health crisis, can come down here to the courthouse and do what we call an emergency detention application.
Parrish received an application in the middle of our interview.
So somebody just dropped one off. This happens literally 10, 12 times a week.
A family filed the application saying their loved one had battled a mental illness for years. Parrish signed off on the warrant.
I just ordered them to go pick them up. He's presenting himself as being violent to his family. Hopefully, Sunrise Canyon can get him back on medication, get him stable, and get him back out to living in our community again.
Sunrise Canyon Hospital is operated by StarCare Specialty Health System, the state-designated local authority for mental health and intellectual disabilities in Lubbock and surrounding counties. StarCare reports EMS drops off about 326 people a year, while law enforcement drops off about 615. Bobby Carter is Director of Diversion Programs for StarCare and says while they do handle emergency detentions, the majority of patients arrive voluntarily.
Our overall number of contacts in crisis continues to grow.
In 2022, Carter says they served about 1,800 adults and 550 children. Last year, the number climbed to 2,200 adults and 800 children.
We have one hallway that has 6 consult rooms. There are some times where every single one of those consult rooms are full and we've got people overflowing into the lobby waiting to be seen.
Carter says there's a misconception that if someone suffers a mental health crisis and refuses help, they can be involuntarily committed to a mental health facility. Carter says if someone is suicidal or homicidal, they typically meet the state's criteria.
The difficulty comes when you see someone who is having significant symptomology associated with a mental health diagnosis, such as schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. Yes, they are hearing voices. That's part of their diagnosis. Yes, they are seeing things. That's part of their diagnosis. That does not constitute a reason for involuntary hospitalization.
Carter says refusing to take a prescribed medication isn't enough to commit someone involuntarily either.
There is no a law out there that can force someone to take their medications.
They could meet the state's criteria to be involuntarily committed if they can't accomplish daily tasks.
The big one is the failure to thrive. Are they not eating? Are they not drinking? Are they not taking care of daily living skills? Things like that.
StarCare also has a 24/7 mobile crisis outreach team that responds to calls to provide mental health assessments. Carter says if someone does not meet the state's criteria to be involuntarily admitted and continues to refuse help, don't lose hope.
A lot of people say, well, I called the police or I called mobile crisis and they didn't do anything, so there's no point in calling them again. That is not true. Don't give up just because, that maybe you were denied the first go around. Mental illness is always changing. It's ever developing. Someone might not be as sick today as they might be in 2 or 3 days.
Carter says the mobile crisis outreach team also conducts a 24-hour follow-up with anyone they come in contact with. Members of the team also co-respond with mental health police officers like Noble to provide additional expertise and resources to those in crisis. Noble says he joined the team because he wants to help and hopes those who see this story will take him up on his offer.
Do the brave thing. It does take a lot of bravery, and call.
If you or someone you know is struggling with a mental health crisis, there are people available 24/7 to help. Here's a look at just a
County Sheriff's Office has requested funding to hire 4 mental health deputies. The sheriff made the same request last year, but the majority of Lubbock County commissioners voted down every position.
Investigative reporter Shaley Kidwell has more on why the sheriff is determined to create these positions in tonight's mental health crisis report.
On March 14th, just after 10:30 p.m., a mother meets Lubbock County Sheriff's deputies in her driveway as they prepare to take her son into custody on an emergency detention order.
So the warrant that was signed by the judge, which is the one that we're here to serve.
Okay.
So that's where we have to go.
So we don't have a choice. All right.
She briefs these deputies on her son's mental health illness and what they may encounter.
As far as the past few hours, how has he been?
He's been calm, but this morning he had a breakdown. He was throwing glasses, trying to get me to call the police.
All the dogs are put up?
Yes.
No weapons?
Yeah. He's schizophrenic, off his meds. He's not going to be logical.
It's information deputies aren't always fortunate enough to have as they prepare to serve a warrant.
Nope. You have a messing up warrant. You got to take you in, okay?
Not happening.
But we're not trying to fight you, okay? We don't want to do that. Okay?
I'm not going though.
The deputies explain they are going to take him to StarCare Specialty Health System's Sunrise Canyon Hospital in East Lubbock for a mental health evaluation. It's a place he says he's been before.
I'm refusing.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
No.
Turn around.
No.
You're gonna get tased. Do it. Turn around right now.
Do it.
Turn around right now.
Turn around, buddy.
No.
Turn around right
I'm
now.
not going.
Turn around.
I'm refusing to go.
Since there's a warrant, he doesn't have a choice. An emergency detention order allows a person to be taken into custody if they are mentally ill and pose a substantial and imminent risk of serious harm to themselves or others.
We're going to take care of you, all right?
No.
We got you. You're going with us.
Nope.
We're going to get you the help you need.
Nope.
In order for us to do that, I need you to relax. Okay?
Too late for that.
The moment you assault my officers, it's over. Then we're not going to.
Them putting their hands on me, I'm allowed to put my hands on them.
I'm trying to take you, okay? Peace.
No, I'm not. I'm refusing. Therefore, either we're taking this to a physical point, which none of us want to do, none of you want to do, or you want to tase me, which also works. So go for it. Tase me, or I'm refusing to go.
The sheriff's office says they served 30 of these warrants last year. Sheriff Kelly Rowe showed this body camera video to Lubbock County commissioners.
Well, I think everybody can probably guess how that ended out. But he was removed out of there.
Rowe told commissioners he wants to hire 4 mental health deputies to improve responsiveness and help keep people who struggle with the mental health illness out of jail.
Historically, what ends up happening there usually is law enforcement and ambulance goes, the fight ensues, somebody's going to get hit or kicked, and now we got that guy sitting in the jail out there on a felony 1 charge, and who knows how many years it'll take before they finally, get him clear out of there.
Rose says once someone enters the criminal justice system, delays can keep them there for years.
We had one, was a case that happened out in Slayton right after I became sheriff. Just got him adjudicated August before last after 13 years of being in and out of our jail and the state hospital system.
Rose says 50% of the Lubbock County Detention Center's population requires some level of a mental health service.
First off, it's sad that our jails across this country have become our de facto mental institutions. But that being said, we understand and recognize we have a high volume of those individuals that end up, in most cases, coming into the criminal justice system. Absolutely the most expensive way to try to handle and deal with the issues that they're having.
Rose says the mental health deputy program will also ease the patrol call load. The sheriff says calls for service have increased from 6,669 in 2020 to 10,539 in 2023, and they haven't added patrol deputies since 2019. Staff says some callers have to be placed on hold.
8830.
Good.
For 43, have a warrant call holding.
Anyone that listens to our radio traffic, we're hearing that more and more. On busy days, we've got calls holding because all our patrol deputies are tied up.
The sheriff says last year they responded to 285 suicidal subject calls.
Can we come check on you? Can you tell me about what this blood is on your face?
Calls he wants to send specially trained mental health deputies to. Rowe wanted to hire mental health deputies last year, but he couldn't secure enough votes from commissioners. Lubbock County Judge Curtis Parrish was in favor of adding mental health deputies last year and says he will vote the same way this year.
These more mental health deputies will give us that tool that we need to take care of those who are in mental health crisis.
Commissioners will vote on the county tax rate on August 26th, with a final vote on the budget Monday, September 9th. Shaley, Kidwell, KCBD, investigates.